Yeah, hello and welcome to this video coverage of the 11th game of the World Championship match. Yeah, this is the final game where the challenger is the white pieces, so that looks like a good try for Karjakin to maybe do something in this match before it gets to the tie breaks. Carlsen has leveled the score in game 10 and now there are only 2 games left. Karjakin white in 11, Carlsen white in the final game. Yeah, first of all, quick mention, that video is on a little bit on the late side. That game was played on Saturday already. I've been away on a tournament and I couldn't do the recording earlier than now, but let's get going, not waste any more time. So, unsurprisingly, we've got one e4. Karjakin has tried d4 once in the match for Slav, but that also didn't get anywhere. I mean, Carlsen got a good position out of the opening, then misplayed it slightly and got to a draw. But still, e4 is Karjakin's main move, so he goes with this here again. And unsurprisingly, we have another Rui, and it returns to the d3 line. Yeah, Karjakin didn't get anywhere in the anti-marshal that he had played earlier. He had 2 anti-marshals that were relatively... first, we had an easy draw for Carlsen and then a game where he suffered a lot. So he returns to 63. Okay, this is the same line as already witnessed in game number 2, I believe, when Carlsen played knight e5, bishop back, and then bishop e6. And that was, I think, a fairly easy draw for him. In this game, he plays differently. He plays the move bishop e6 immediately. And interesting enough, after knight d5, he played knight to d4. That is a line that has been played quite a bit in tournament chess. And it was something that I personally had never seen, which probably just shows my ignorance for this line. It's something that is has been seen quite a bit. When I play this with black, I usually play entirely differently. I play probably, I should look at something else, but I usually play with knight a5 and then sometimes c5, but that might not be the best choice. Okay, so this is an interesting idea. Knight d4 is a very direct move, not aiming for a longish strategic battle, but rather changing the pawn structure immediately. And this feels quite logical. We've got those trades, and now taking here and taking on e6 is also fairly obvious. So we got some minor pieces traded early on, and this means a little bit of a simplification of the position, but that does not mean that it is necessarily going to be a quick draw or no fight at all. That is simply too early. Here White has tried a couple of moves in high-level chess, all very logical looking. What did f4 was played by Karjakin, but there has been games with a4, bishop d2, queen g4, but f4 is also perfectly logical here. What about this position? White has a little bit more space. That's quite clear with e4 and f4, the pawn duo. Black, however, is not suffering so much from this lack of space because he has traded so many pieces. There's just one minor piece left, the bishop on f6. So that lack of space is not a big deal. We should say that Black actually has some space himself on the queen side. There he got actually more space. But White has more play in the center and on the king side. What is important is that Black's pawn structure is a little bit loose. Yeah, those pawns here, they can be attacked sometime, and they are easier targets than White's pawns. All in all, I think it's fairly equal, this position. And we'll see that both players, they get to an interesting position just a couple of moves later. Queen g4 looks normal, yeah, attacking the pawn there. And queen d7 is also the most natural move in the world. Even this is a known position, and now f5 was played by Karjakin. This is probably the most straightforward move available, and just attack the structure immediately. Of course, there's also an argument to be made for slow moves like bishop d2 and just trying to complete development. But f5, why not? It's important here that black plays the right decision. Now he played rook to e8. And a move that is going to be extremely risky here would be e5. Yeah, this is actually something where the computer does not really have any objection about. But for a human player, this idea looks extremely risky because white has an automatic attack. Yeah, with stuff like g4 to g5. Of course, black has a counterplay. Maybe actually for that reason you would rather want to go here. Okay, I don't want to analyze this in detail. The move e5 is strategically very risky. The bishop looks bad and white has an automatic attack. So understandable that Carlsen wanted to keep the tension and played rook to e8. Yeah, Karjakin took a bit of time now and played at the end this no move bishop d2. Very logical. You need to connect rooks. White could always opt for this. Yeah, go for this
Check.
ending. But here the likelihood of a draw is of course very, very high. The pawn structure is very symmetrical, and black, for example, like here has a good post here for the bishop on e5. If anybody, white can do a little bit of something in this kind of ending, because those pawns here are a little bit easier to attack in some cases. If you imagine white somehow entering the position with a4, black can go b4. It's very much blocked. So that was a very simple solution that Karjakin had available. However, he didn't do that. He played bishop d2, as we said, and Carlsen now with c4. Yeah, he goes with this queenside break. Looks perfectly logical. It wasn't the only move. He also could have played something more conservative, like taking on f5. But as we will see, Carlsen's game plan here is to try a little bit of something from this position without taking any unduly risk. I think he did a good job there. Karjakin now played the move h3, covering the queen. This is a generally useful move. The queen is covered, which can be quite useful if you take here, for example, and there are sometimes discoveries. So the queen being covered is useful. Also, you give some additional space, Luft, for the king. Yeah, and now, very interesting moment. When I was watching this game, and I could watch it actually because I had returned from my tournament by the time this game was going. When I was watching, I didn't expect this next two moves at all, and I think I'm not alone with that. Also, the commentators were very surprised that this was a playable option. So what did Carlsen do? He played the move c3. And this initially seemed very risky because you think automatically, okay, white has to take. Yeah, we don't need to argue about that. Yeah, playing this is a very strange move. So white, that's even stranger. So takes, and now you automatically assume black would capture. And after bishop e3, you wonder what exactly was the point. Yeah. Isn't white the one who's coming out on top here with the better central control? Very strange. The thing is, that didn't happen. After c3, indeed, of course, Karjakin took. But now the world champion did not recapture on c3, but went for the very interesting move d5. All of a sudden, provoking a big crisis in the center. Yeah, for me, very surprising turn of events. And I think this is really strong play. Black is trying to make something out of first his bishop, with this action c3, and now the bishop is doing something. There is ideas like taking, bishop d4 check, and he's activating here the rooks that he has e and f file, especially the rook on the e file, because currently what black has, he's a little bit quicker in development, just a little bit. The rook is still on a1. This pawn can potentially be weak now, so it actually it opens up the center in a situation where black is a little bit better prepared for that. The position is equal actually, but it's white who has to to be very precise. In fact, there are some ways to go wrong. Here already there's a big decision for Karjakin. I think he took almost 30 minutes. Let us check this quickly. Yeah, like what is that? 27 minutes. Yeah, very understandable, because here there are a couple of options that and this has very far-reaching consequences. The decision you take here will shape the rest of the game. So he actually had a continuation that basically suggests itself, but it has some deep points that should not be underestimated if you're trying to evaluate it. So taking is what I'm talking about. This is at least the first move that I would check. Let's just see what happens there. Thing is, takes,
check,
takes. That's easy to see. 2 pawns. White is 2 pawns up, but there's rook e2, and this is actually very, very awkward now. The bishop is hanging. You have no good way to, no good place to put it. And if you cover it, then black is taking here and is ready for bishop to d4, plus c2 is hanging. This is actually winning straight away. White here only has one move to keep equality. And this is a somewhat scary move to play, rook f2. Yeah, after the capture and black takes, black is ready for double check discovery. But it seems that there's nothing terrible happening to white after bishop e1. It looks extremely scary though, it really does. And you also need to assess correctly what happens if black takes this pawn, which is possible. I think this is equal, but it's not easy to play into this. It looks extremely scary. So this is the first move you probably consider, and you come to the conclusion, not easy. A move that the engine is suggesting here is the move c4. Certainly also something that can be checked. Yeah, what is black's best against this? Probably he should take on e4. And now we have interesting complications. White can take on e4, I can take on b5. This is a completely crazy position. Like this, for example. This is absolutely crazy. You have no idea what's going on here. A complete mess. Yeah. It's the kind of thing you probably want in a game where you need to win at all costs. White can also take on e4, and after b takes, again I think the position is probably roughly equal. All this seems like white is not playing for an advantage, and Karjakin probably, and correctly so. I mean, this is his general mat strategy. If it gets kind of unclear, or if there is the possibility to enter something a little bit tough to assess, he tends to go for simplification, and yeah, he went for this one, and this is a good simplification, I think. In some cases I felt that the challenger was avoiding too much in case of complicated play, but here I think it's a very wise decision. There are other things are tough to assess, and you risk actually of maybe being worse if you don't assess it correctly. And we have to really see the situation here. There are 2 games left. If Karjakin loses this white game, the match is basically done. I mean, he's not going to win with black against Carlsen if Carlsen needs a draw. I think that's very, That seems very tough to do. So he has to really handle it with extreme care. I mean, Carlsen, of course, also cannot really afford a loss here, but at least he's got white in the final game if something went wrong here. So bishop g5, I think it's a good move. It simplifies the situation, even though still Carlsen is trying his best to do something. Taking here on e4. At the end here, Karjakin took on e6. D takes e4 probably wasn't as good. This is the easy way to do it.
Check.
Got the trade in and the queen captured. So if we do a count, we have 6 pawns each, but white can take on d4. So white is a pawn up. Here Carlsen has a choice. And again, he does not go for the simple continuation. He tries to set problems. He could have, if he wanted just a simple draw, he could have just taken on d3. This is the kind of
Check.
Choice to clarify matters entirely. Here we probably will have an easy draw coming because the 3 pawns here will probably trade against the 2 pawns ultimately. Yeah, like for example, what is a clause? I didn't look at this so much, but let's make a line out of it. Let's say black goes to go here, so something like that. That's not forced. Yeah, that's probably a good enough way of drawing it. The rook here is controlling this, and white has no way forward. If he pushes the pawn, he has to be cautious that the black king is not coming up. So this is the draw. I was wrong with saying everything will get traded probably, but you could probably create something like that with I don't think a5 is any good, but this is good enough. Yeah, black is just staying here and it's fine. This is simply never playing. So that was an easy way of doing it, but Carlsen played e3, keeping the game going, and ultimately he does not risk all that much. Because if we check this, the pawn is quite strong, the e3 pawn, and white has doesn't really have many options here to activate. He basically has to stay with the rook on the first rank to prevent the pawn from promotion. And with such a passive rook, you're never going to win. But still, Karjakin has to be precise now, and not doing anything stupid. He plays. Sorry, wrong button. He plays rook e1, where the rook has to go anyway. h6, giving some additional space there for the king. And e2. Yeah, in a bullet game, you might see king f2, queen e3 mate, but not in a world championship match. King f3, queen f3, sorry, is a very logical move. The queen goes near the pawn. Note that white can never pick this up by king f2 because of rook to f8 winning the queen. So a5 played. Yeah, so you should not underestimate this. If white is now playing, I mean, he has to play pretty badly to allow that, but you never know. You can imagine, let's say, something like this, yeah? And this is getting very, very ugly. How do you defend against this? So c3 is a good choice, yeah, not allowing any b4 tricks. Queen a2, again, this is the most active move, and the queen might go here. And again, this is something that you would want to prevent. If white is playing something stupid now, let's say again something lame, then after queen d2 you have to be again very, very precise. Something like that you will probably not hold in the long run. Yeah, rook comes to e3 and so on. This is a strong move by Karjakin. This is actually the move that makes this position now a pretty clear draw. It's a counter attack. This is coming with a tempo.
Check.
And c4 is strong, attacking the rook. Yeah, and now black has to force the draw basically. And this is with queen d2 attacking the rook. There is no way now for white to continue. He has to take here.
Check.
And in this situation, white is threatening a perpetual. So after queen f2, black wants to promote, but
check.
Queen e4 ends the draw, ends the game now with the draw. Yeah, this is
check.
The perpetual check. G6.
Check.
Again.
Check.
Doesn't change anything. It is a draw now. So this game ended in a draw. The penultimate game of this match. There is just one game left that's going to be played on November 28th. So today, on the release date of that video. This will be a very thrilling conclusion. We have 5.5 points each, so it's down to one game. The guy who wins this game is the new world champion, or Carlsen retains the title. And if we have a draw in that game, there will be a rapid and possibly blitz playoff on Wednesday the 30th. So we can definitely look forward to the end of this, the conclusion of this very, very tight match. I talked to a student of mine earlier what my estimates are, how this ends. I give Carlsen a 20% chance of winning this game, to game 12, like 20 to 30%, because I think he has the psychological initiative now in this situation. 10% for Karjakin to win, and 60 to 70% likelihood of a rapid and blitz tiebreaker. I give Carlsen a pretty decent chance. I think with this win was immensely important. Of course it was, but I mean also from a psychological point of view, he now knows he can win a game against this guy, and it is this game also shows that he's ready to take those calculated risk. Is wrong, but he tries to make the best out of the positions and set some problems. Karjakin here could solve all of them, and we'll see how it goes in the final game. I expect e4 once again. I expect another Ruy Lopez actually. Something else would surprise me, but you never know. And I expect something similar like game 10 in terms of strategy. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll be covering the final game as well, of course. Bye bye.